y'all know, being recorded.
And we have the choice to leave now.
Yeah.
You can't leave.
Okay, I'm just looking to see who we got here. There are some faces that I don't recognize, so I'll get your names in a minute.
Christine, Jill, Lorraine, Karen, Dina. I like those more. They're funny. Holly? Oh, Holly. Oh my gosh, cool. Moira.
Karen. 2 Karens.
Yeah. Christine.
Okay, there, playing around.
Jill.
Yeah. That.
Jill. Sandy. Did you say Joyce was here?
Yeah, Joyce was here. Yeah.
Oh, there she is. Okay, hi, Joyce.
Unmute, Joyce.
That's okay.
I'm eating.
That's all right. I see someone else that's eating too. I won't mention her name.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, we gotta take a picture.
We need a lot of people.
Yes, it's not everybody on the list. I only had a few people email me and say that they couldn't join us. So.
All right, in 3, wave. 1, 2, 3.
Hi.
Sorry. To prove that we have had a meeting here, but you're recording it, so
Yeah.
you can send them the link.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, I'll just say the names of the people that I have in the list because they're the people that I know. And then you people whose faces I don't recognize, and I apologize, I'm Jean Ranney, the group ride program coordinator. Maybe you can share your name. I don't spend a lot of time on Zoom, so you might just have to leap in and say your name. So Karen Popow is here somewhere. Angie's here. And Michaela and Holly and Christine, Sylvie, Karen Petty, Jill, Sandy, Lorraine, Joyce, Bev, Franz, Dana, Ann McDonald, Linda, Sue Loveson. So who have I missed? Just chime right in. Oh, Maura. Sorry, Maura. Yes, I looked at you and asked you about your glasses and then didn't check you out. Sorry about that. Okay,
No problem.
who are some of the ladies who I
So
don't
it's a lower Linda Beer that you have down. Is the other Linda here?
Linda Beeler?
Uh-huh.
No,
She
no, Linda's not signing in tonight.
No.
All right, fair enough.
So,
There's me,
okay.
Claudia Monk.
Okay, Claudia. Okay, that's good. It's good that you wave because, okay, so I've got Claudia. Who else is going to?
Did
Yes, hi.
Serena? I don't know if you.
Okay, Serena. I know
Right.
you. Some of you are surprised that I got in touch with you, but you did put maybe on your form. So for us, maybe it's almost a yes. And who else have we got?
Emma.
Okay, Emma. And I think, oh, there's just one more.
Valerie.
Oh, okay, Valerie. Okay. Hang on, there's Valerie. Valerie L or Valerie W? Valerie L. Okay.
L.
Another Valerie. And then there's still at least one more
Jen.
person.
Angie?
Another Angie?
No, just well, I don't know.
No, I already had Angie. Sorry, with the blonde,
Yeah,
bun.
Jen.
Yeah, Jen. Okay. Jen. And then, okay, I see Karen. So I think that's everybody. Right? Is there anybody I've missed? Nice to see your face, Lorraine. We don't see your face very often. Okay, so Sylvie, can you, will you share the screen? So I'll put up an agenda. I can't hear you, but. Oh, crumbs, where are you? Where are you all? There you are. Okay,
You're able to host.
yeah, all right. So just a minute.
There we go. Hey, Lorraine. Jill.
Google Drive. Okay,
Is it okay, Jean?
well, I'm trying to share it.
You just open, I think like open the screen that you want. So when it
Yeah, I
goes to
have the
share.
screen I want open. And then usually I clicked on Google Drive.
With your host, so you should have full capabilities.
I don't know why it's not sharing. Just give it a second. Okay. There. My internet connection is unstable.
They-
Oh, crap. It's not going to let me. Okay, so let me try something else. Sorry, ladies.
Jean, if
talk
you shut
amongst
down your video, sometimes that improves your bandwidth.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's just the way it's the file that I chose to share that for some reason is not letting me share. Basic.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay. Yeah, I see it now. I just don't want you to see my really, really, really messy desktop. Okay. It's coming. Okay, there. Is that shared now? Do you see the agenda?
Not
No.
No.
Okay, so what is going on here? I can see the agenda. There it is. No, that's not it.
You might have to reshare like the desktop. Because it's showing your desktop right now, but I think if
Very
you've opened a
messy.
new tab, so you might have to reshare from the new tab.
Okay, so just hang on. I can't even find the Zoom. I can't even find my Zoom screen anymore. Just hang on. Oh my God.
Yeah, maybe unshare and then share again. And because then that open tab will be there.
Okay, so hang on. Yeah, but I can't even see my Zoom screen anymore. I've lost, like I can see you guys, but I can't see the whole screen. There, now I can see you. Okay, let's try this again.
Too many tabs open?
Okay, there's my desktop. Let's close this.
Oh, I see your messy desktop.
Yeah, you're right. No, I'm just kidding.
It is a mess.
Oh,
Look at it.
wow.
Whoa.
I know.
Busy
That's
lady.
impressive.
There we are.
Is that like your underwear drawer, Jean?
No, it's my underwear drawer is much tighter than this.
It's fun.
Okay, ladies, I don't know. So you can see my desktop, but you can't see these other files, huh?
Correct.
Well, I don't know what's. And you can't see the agenda that I have here.
Oh, there it
Now
is.
we can.
There we
Yeah,
are.
yes. There we go.
Yay.
Okay,
Yay.
you
We're
can see that
in.
now? Oh, good, okay. I can only see a few of you. Hang on, let me see if I can get more of you.
I can see you in the corner, Jean, but and I can see the agenda. So what more do we need?
No, we don't need anything else. Okay. So, yeah, so welcome to the Group Ride Leaders meeting. Thank you for signing in. On the list that I have that Sylvie forwarded me from people that had volunteered, we probably have about 50 names.
Oh.
So I'm really hoping, I know many of you are returning and some of you are new to this. And so you may start out being co-leaders to start, but we do need as many group ride leaders as we have. So as I said, I'm Jean Randy, I'm the group ride coordinator. And I was caught a little bit off guard yesterday by Doug Ford's announcement. I was sort of thinking in my head that things would loosen up for next weekend. So that's something to talk about. So the first thing is I emailed, along with your email in the attachment, there was an upgraded or an updated, if you like, group ride level criteria in the form of a chart. So for those of you that are new to the club, we've changed a little bit the levels and we've changed the names of the different groups. And actually it turns out that that's in line with the naming of the Ottawa Bicycle Club and then another large group in Quebec called Vélo Plaisir. So I actually borrowed a lot from the format that Vélo Plaisir uses on their website in terms of putting the information in a chart. So, okay, let me just see if I can actually bring that up for you. Okay, can you see that? Can you see that I changed?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is also on the Facebook page under files. How do I know which group to ride with? And when we start the group ride program and we advertise that we're starting it, we will ask all members to take a look at this. And it also group ride leaders too, because it helps you decide which group ride you're happiest leading. So just to review, we have on the weekends 3 days of riding: a Friday ride, a Saturday rides, multiple rides on Saturday, and a Sunday ride. And the Friday ride and the Sunday ride are open rides. And if you look on this chart, if I can just make it go down, just hang on. You'll see that the description of the open ride, okay, just to get this, because we're going to spend a little more time on the other rides. So the open rides are open to all members. They're not what we would call leveled. And the speed is variable. It depends on the participants and the route chosen. Generally, especially the Friday ride, is a little more casual and often shorter, you know. So if we started the Friday ride at 9, we'd expect to be back to the parking lot by 11:30, including a coffee stop. So they're a little, they're more casual. And because we have no drop rides, the speed is really dependent on who the participants are. So we never leave anybody behind. And so the Friday and the Sunday rides are a little more casual. So if you are a group ride leader of a Friday or a Sunday ride, it's really up to your discretion, but you do have to know who's participating in the ride, so you make sure that you don't leave anyone behind, okay? And they tend to be a little more varied. You know, I'm all about more information. So if, you know, as a group ride leader on a Sunday, you wanted to do a particular ride, say with a remote start and maybe a little farther than usual, as long as, you know, in your posting, you put that the ride is going to be longer and it's going to be a remote start, then that's okay. So, but you can see in the final column on the right, you know, it's for members who are looking for a relaxed, more social ride or a recovery ride. They're interested in exploring a variety of local bike routes and they have some group riding experience. So one of the things that we say to our touring one, which was formerly our beginner riders, is that they should do a few Saturday rides, which are the leveled rides, first before joining the Friday or the Sunday ride. Okay, if they're just new to group riding, just to get used to the feeling. So, so as for the other ones, this is where your executive had long discussions over the winter, and of course we all had lots of time to have those long discussions about the criteria for those. So those of you that have led group rides in the past will notice that we've added an additional ride on Saturday. So that's why, hence we need as many group ride leaders and co-leaders as possible. So on Saturdays, we typically will have 5 rides going. And start location, again, when I sent out the email, I sent you a chart with some of the most common start locations that we use. The start location is totally dependent on the group ride leader. So we don't all start from the same spot every time, although it's not a problem if you do start from the same spot as another group, that's fine. But it's entirely dependent on the group ride leaders. So you can see touring one, for those of you that were group ride leaders before, is really what we would call before our beginner group. So this would be people that are new to group riding, or people that are women that are riding on hybrids, or just getting used to a fancy new road bike, or getting used to clips or whatever. And you can see what the most consistent speed is. In the past, we've talked about average speed, but we decided that actually what we're really going after is the most consistent speed, because average speed doesn't necessarily reflect the most consistent speed that you're riding along at. So the touring one groups would be mostly on bike paths and some bike lanes. And the ride formation would be in single file, okay? And you can see under the recommendations, they're a little more relaxed. They're for people that are looking to improve their fitness. They have little or no group riding experience, or they're transitioning. They're on a hybrid or transitioning from a hybrid to a road bike. So that's touring one, okay? And then touring two, which for those of you that are returning was formerly our novice group. Okay, you can see the most consistent speed, 35 to 45K. So they would be in on bike paths, but also in bike lanes and less busy streets. And mainly single file, sometimes doubling up. Like for example, on a Saturday when the Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway is closed and we're returning, say, to Tunney's Pasture from a ride out to the March Road, we might double up and practice riding in a double echelon on the Parkway where there's lots of space, and even if it's slightly crowded, there's still lots of room. Okay, so that's for riders that have some cycling experience and are willing to ride varied terrain, maybe a little hillier and so on. Okay, they may be riding hybrids, but most often they're riding road bikes. So our three, so those of you that are returning, and especially last year, and those of you that are new, where we've had our, in recent years, where we've had our little bulge, in other words, lots of demand for rides on Saturday, was at what we called at the time the intermediate level. And last year and the year before, we had some really large intermediate groups. And so what we've decided to do this year is we're just going to spread those groups out. And so I would suggest that Sportive 3 and Sportive 4 are what would have been our large intermediate groups. So ladies that were just moving up from novice, getting a little faster and a little farther in intermediate, and then ladies that were solidly in the intermediate category. So those would be Sportive 3 and 4. And so we had a lot of discussions about what would differentiate those two. So I'd suggest, again, you look at the column on the right, okay? I guess the big distinction is for Sportif 3, able and willing to climb big hills such as Pink Lake, Champlain Lookout. And then Sportif 4 is they consider themselves to be capable hill climbers. So what we're looking for in planning Sportif 3 and Sportif 4 routes is a little farther, more varied terrain, especially for Sportif 4 at the beginning of the season. They might be able to tackle some of the big hills and so on. So that's Sportif 3 and 4. And then we've added in Sportif 5, which would be, part of our advanced group. So what we're looking for there is Sportif 5 is people that are very interested in some challenging cycling in the sense that they might be training for a Grand Fondo or for a century ride or for another event, and they want to really challenge themselves, and they're very comfortable riding in a group. And we added this criteria that they need to be challenged, whereas the Sportif 4 group, we put they might want to be challenged. So that's the difference. And yeah, so those are the groups that we'd be looking at. So as group ride leaders, when you're volunteering, or even if you're volunteering or you're new and you're going to volunteer to co-lead a ride, you want to think about for yourself, which criteria, like which group, looking at the criteria, which group are you comfortable leading or co-leading? So on a Saturday, or maybe you just rather, yeah, Karen, I see you raised your hand and you have a question. Yes.
Yeah, just a clarification in terms of for people who may be new to taking on the group riding role, the leader role. Usually, and I just want to clarify that when you say, for example, Sportif 3, 22 to 24 kilometers an hour, that's usually determined on a flat road without winds. So if you have winds, that goes down, or if you have hills, that goes down, just so that people know you're not needing to ride into a headwind at that same rate or up a hill at that same rate.
No, that's good clarification, because at the bottom of this chart, right at the very bottom, there's a note. And this note, I got it up right here. So it explains about the most consistent speed, the range of speed that the group is likely to maintain on generally flat terrain. It could vary depending on the route, okay? And then it just talks about the speed and the comfort level of the group. And it does say that the group ride leader will try to keep the speed within the stated range. But, as Karen says, there's wind, there are other circumstances, okay? So I suppose, Karen, what we could say is it's, in some cases, it's not about speed, it's more about effort in a way. You know what I mean? So yeah, so we're not totally married to these numbers, but we certainly, we have to provide our members with some guideline for the Saturday rides to help them make an informed choice about what group might be, suit them the best. My experience, and I don't know, those of you that have led group rides before, my experience is that many new members or new to group riding really do err on the side of caution, so they might turn up for the Touring 1 ride thinking, well, I just joined the club and so on. But when they get out riding, they realize, oh, okay, I could have, fit in quite nicely with a Touring 2 group. And that's fine. That's not a big problem. And that I would expect you as group ride leaders, you might even have a conversation with them at the end and say, look, next week, why don't you try the Touring 2 or something? So none of it is an exact science. So, we're just playing it by ear, especially at the beginning of the season when group ride leaders are getting to know the members and members are getting to know the group ride leaders too. So we are pretty flexible, but I just wanted you to see that because it's significantly changed from last year. And it's something that I'm going to put on the website is we're going to ask the members to reference before they sign up for a ride. Okay. So there's that. So everything that I'm showing you, and in fact, this is where my screen is right now, is in something called the Group Ride Leader Toolkit. And after tonight, I'm going to send you a summary of what we discussed at the meeting. And I'm going to send you a link to the Google Drive, which has all of these documents in it. So you can look at them as much or as little as you want, okay? So the next thing on the agenda is the COVID-19 protocols. So, you know, I think here on the executive, we were kind of hoping that, you know, we were being very optimistic and hoping that we would be out of the COVID-19 protocols. But I guess we should just be grateful that now we can actually ride outside. So in terms of the protocols, almost everybody, I would say with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 members, has signed the COVID-19 waiver, and all of you have, I'm pretty sure. And that is just a commitment. It's a commitment from us, the club, that we are going to follow public health guidelines, and we look at what the Fédération, the Quebec Cycling Federation has, and the Ontario Cycling Federation has in terms of their protocols. And ours is actually, it seems that the Ontario Cycling Association had pretty comprehensive protocols last year, so we kind of went with them. They were in line with public health guidelines in Quebec and Ontario. And so the waiver essentially says that we as a club will you know, make every effort. We'll be social distancing in the parking lot, asking everybody that joins our rides to bring a mask, make sure they have sanitizer, follow whatever guidelines. We will be following the size guidelines, and we'll discuss that in a minute because of course they're slightly different in Quebec and Ontario at the moment. But when we do start, we'll probably start with the Ontario guidelines, which means 9 in a group with a leader. And we'll talk about that in a second. So we'll follow that guideline. The second part of the waiver is that the person who signs the waiver, the member who signed the waiver, commits to the best of their ability to follow the guidelines and to not come out for a group activity if they are showing any signs or symptoms of COVID-19. So, and we'll talk about that too. So there's that part of the protocol. The second part of the protocol is that the group ride leaders, and many of you I hope still have them, I hope you didn't throw them out at the end of the season. Sue Loveson did a really nice job of putting these cue cards on a laminated little thing that would fit into your jersey pocket. And really what they are is just, and let me see if I can bring it up for you. I'll bring up one of them so you can see it, the contents of it. This is essentially, it's just a cue sheet for the group ride leaders at the start of the ride. You know, we always meet in a parking lot somewhere and we have a little discussion, and the group ride leader, you know, will ask people's names and ask if you're new to the club, have you been on a ride before, and so on, especially at the beginning of the season. So we added this extra piece last year because of COVID. And so these are responsibility of the group ride leader, okay? So the group ride leader checks that only riders who were confirmed, we'll talk about that, the sign in a minute. So that everybody is self-sufficient. And that just means that all riders have everything they need, water and so on, but also what they need to repair a flat if they get a flat, or a phone to call someone in to come and pick them up. Because in the past, on a group ride, you know, if someone gets a flat, like we all jump in to help, okay? But last year, because of the social distancing and so on, we had these situations where someone got a flat and everybody was very, very supportive from a safe distance, and the person, you know, giving guidance from a safe distance. But the expectation was that the rider, you know, the group member had everything they needed to fix a flat, for example, or to put their chain back on, you know, with advice and so on. So that's, and not share water, for example, that's a big one, nutrition and so on. So what we did last year was we said, well, it's a good idea perhaps for everybody to do a little bit of a bike maintenance check before they leave the parking lot, just to avoid any problems. So that's the first side of the group ride leader toolkit. And then, oh, darn, what did I do here? I think I'm on the wrong. And on the back, I'll just summarize it. On the back are the typical screening questions that you've been hearing everywhere you've been going all year. You know, are you showing any signs of symptoms of COVID-19? Have you been in contact with anyone who has tested positive? Have you traveled outside the country? Those typical questions. We would really hope that, actually that's kind of the final set, because we also, you know, ask group ride leaders to put in their event posting a statement that says, please don't come for a ride if you're showing any signs or symptoms or you come in contact with anyone. So, you know, we're trying to have these spaces all along. We also recognize that, you know, it's perhaps not as urgent as it was last year because many of our members will have been vaccinated. At least they will have had one shot, but still, you know, we want to keep these things in place. Are there any questions about that? Okay. Okay, so the next item is a potential start date for the group ride program. So I saw that Dana posted to go for a ride on Friday or Saturday. And
I'm sorry, I feel like I created a bit of chaos. I just got so
no,
excited.
you didn't. No, you didn't. And in fact, my first thought was, oh, you know, as soon as Ford made his announcement, yeah, we can just start right away. But what I'm thinking is, and I'll tell you why in a minute, but what I'm thinking is that we won't officially start this weekend, even though we probably could. First of all, the forecast is for torrential rain on Friday. So that's kind of, you know, but the other piece is if we wait until next weekend, then we'll have some resolution of this, hopefully, Quebec-Ontario border issue, right? Because if we start this weekend, it is a little tricky because we do have members on both sides of the river. And if we're following guidelines, we cannot invite members who live on the Quebec side to come and join us on the Ontario side for a ride and vice versa. So if we started this weekend, it was going to create a little bit of you know, a little bit of an issue. So my suggestion is that Dana, you go for your ride with whoever wants to go with you on Saturday, and that we start the group ride program next week, because this current recommendation, Quebec-Ontario border recommendation, is only until June 16th. And so next week we should have more clarity. And I mean, if going forward, we still, you know, the recommendation is not to cross the borders, then we'll have to, you know, we'll have to figure something out in terms of how we organize and offer our group rides. But
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Just a question about starting next week, and maybe Sylvia will answer this. What about the sort of skill testing that generally goes on at the beginning? How do you incorporate that into the start date especially for newer people coming into the club?
I think you're muted, Sylvie.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, this is everything that we've been just waiting for. I do have one scheduled for Sunday afternoon that I'm personally that's not part of the club, but if I'm given the go ahead, I can populate it with the first number of ladies who are available. I cannot do it back to back, and I've already scheduled something for Saturday, and I have a bike maintenance clinic in the morning. So I can get, I mean, but you you can't go out for a group ride if you haven't had it. But it's always advantageous that you do go through that learner group ride clinic before you head out. But if you would like to ride, I have said to some people who have messaged me about it that go for the ride, but let your group ride leader know that you have not taken the clinic yet. And because in the past we've had people not come out at all because they literally missed that clinic and they thought that they weren't allowed to ride, which I felt really bad, but you know, nobody asked. So I think this year we've really rallied all the new members because we asked that question on the membership list. So it was I was really able to really like target our new members and get all of them on board for the clinic. So when it happens, like everybody is ready. So I can get some done this weekend, and then I can schedule the remainder for the following weekend,
Yeah.
and then everybody will be done.
In the past, we've had, because remember Sylvie, in the past, sometimes they've been stretched out quite a bit because you've had lots of them. And
Yeah.
I agree. I think especially, I would say, especially any of the group ride leaders that are leading in the first couple of weeks, the first 3 or 4 weeks that are leading the touring one, what was formerly beginner, those leaders, I think it's important to ask the question. And I think Sandy, last year when she led the beginner ride, one of the first ones, they did a little, before they headed out on the bike path, they did a little 10 or 15 minutes in the parking lot at Tunney's, just practicing, just going over some of the communication pieces and so on. And that would be worthwhile. I think there's lots more that Sylvie does in her learn to ride, but I think that in the first couple of weeks, if you're leading the touring one group and you have people that have not done the learn to ride, you can, do a few basic things that would help them get along. But that's a good question, Linda. Thank you for reminding me about that. So, so all that to say that I think that we would go with the first ride. I'm just checking my exact dates here.
Jean, can I message the new group and see if I can get some in a session on Sunday? Can I do that?
Well, I guess you could, but what I would say to them, Sylvie, is there will be others offered too.
Yeah. Well, I know they're all waiting for alternate dates.
Yeah.
So I could just say I have X number of spots this weekend, and the first people who register get them, and then the next ones are the following weekend.
Yeah.
But there's a go.
I guess
I'm just waiting for the go ahead.
Yeah, I guess so. But as long as they understand that they will have an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I just need to message them and set it up.
So
right.
Angie and Lorraine and Dana, did you have questions? Angie?
Sorry, Jean. I was just wanted to let you know Allison was trying to get in.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry about that. And is she still trying? Does that mean
I didn't hear any things coming in? Hold on. Oh, maybe it's because Jean's host.
That's what I'm saying. So I didn't pay any attention to it because I'm not usually the host.
Right.
Okay. Well, do you want to look and see if anybody's in the waiting room?
Oh yeah, Paula is. Okay, there. Okay.
Okay.
I had a question about the event postings, Jean.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking back to last year and remembering that with all of the COVID and being self-sufficient, I ended up borrowing quite a bit, like cutting and pasting from other people's event postings. And I was wondering whether it might be helpful in the toolkit to have some sort of little template that has like just some of that basic stuff about like the COVID screen, make sure that you're self-sufficient, make sure that you've looked at the different levels, like just something that we can cut and paste into our Facebook event posting.
Yeah, actually there is, Dana, there's a document that says, it's in the Google, it's in the toolkit. I just updated it today. It's called the COVID-19 addendum. And what it does is it's sort of, it's for the group ride leader to all the things that need to ask. And then I'm just finishing up, I didn't get it done because I had something else on this afternoon. I'm just finishing up how to create an event. And in that document, there'll be a sample posting. And so it's going to include that wording around the COVID and all of that. So that'll all be in there. Maybe not today, like maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday, but definitely before we start. Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, Lorraine, you had a question?
Sorry, takes a while to unmute.
Yeah.
Just my little legal antenna are up, and you guys have done such a great job with, you know, the protocols and everything. I would just say exactly what you just said about people not being able to cross the border legally yet at this time, according to public health. You know, you might want to tell people that's why we're not starting this weekend, and you might flag. So if people are choosing to get together, it's not an official sanctioned Cycle Fit Chick ride until the program is launched.
Yeah,
Just
so
an
I
idea
was waiting
for liability purposes.
Yeah, I agree. I saw the you saw the posting that I put up, which just said watch the space in the next few days. So what I was thinking was after this meeting and when we kind of decided when we would start, then I would put it up and I would say, you know, the reason that we're not starting this weekend is because we're waiting on an announcement in order to continue this planning. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. We have to make sure that people know that they can't cross. So yeah. Angie, do you have another question? Oh, okay. Okay. Right. So we'll be looking for volunteers to lead group rides. So those of you that are new and haven't led a group ride before, some of you are not new to the club, but you're new to leading group rides. My suggestion would be that you offer to co-lead a ride. So this kind of gets like, so we, first of all, for our touring one group, which are the ones that are new to group riding, we typically have 2 group ride leaders. Just because, especially now, you know, we're mostly on bike paths, the paths are busy. Even if they've done the learn to ride, they may not be comfortable riding in a group. So we may have, you know, we may have 9 touring one riders and 2 leaders for the first 2 or 3 weeks. So that's an opportunity for somebody that's new to group ride leading or new to the club to work with a leader. And all you have to do is, you know, you'll see we're going to have we have a sign up sheet, and I'll put out after tonight, I'll send out an email with the link to the toolkit, and I'll be asking for volunteers for certain dates. And then you can just get back to me and you can offer to co-lead a group. That's a great way to get some experience. The other thing, and we ran into this last year, I don't know whether we will this year, like, you know, we never know how many people are going to turn out for our rides. But last year we following the guidelines, we had 9 people per ride plus a leader. But sometimes, you know, there was a 10th person, 11th person, a 12th person that, you know, wanted to join the ride. And rather than wait until the last minute and wait until somebody canceled, what we did was we would put a call out for a co-leader for that ride. So typically our touring 2 and our sportive rides would have 1 group ride leader unless the group was larger. And that worked out really well. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, those of you that led rides last year, I mean, I didn't ride at all. Remember, I had a broken wrist. So I'm just saying that from being a voyeur of all your rides. But it seems to me that when someone, you know, posted a ride, let's say for Sportive 3 out to Manotick, and then suddenly it filled up with 9 people, and then a 10th person said, oh, you know, I see I'm the 10th person. Oh, well, we always had somebody either among the 9 or somebody else volunteer to co-lead. And so the group ride leader was still responsible for organizing the route and, you know, getting things organized at the start. But when they set off riding, they kind of set off in, they rode the same route, but in quite separate, you know, and they might not even have stopped the same place for coffee just because of distancing and accommodation and so on. But that was a discussion between the leader and the co-leaders. Anybody want to make a comment about that? Since I didn't experience very much personally, anybody want to say something about that?
Yeah, I do. Sometime last year, the co-leader actually went to the back and sort of, you know, took up the back end of the group.
Yeah.
And this was later, maybe later in the year when we weren't so concerned about how many people. And sometimes that works too, because they can identify, or they can either lead the back group or they can stay at the back of the back group, but they can sort of identify if there's anybody that needs to be sort of attended to at the back of the group. So sometimes, and it very much depends on the group, what group you're leading, whether the assistant group leader should be at the front of the back group or at the back. But that's just sort of one of the things that you play out on the day.
Yeah. And I don't know whether it was Sandy or somebody that was saying, like, especially for our groups that are mainly on the bike paths, with so many people using the bike paths on the weekends, like having a group strung out that far along the bike paths, sometimes it was actually better to have two separate groups, you know, riding the same route, but able to be separated so you're not strung out quite so far. I don't know. Was that you, Sandy, that was mentioning that to me?
Yes, it was scary at times on the bike path. And I was going to raise that as a question, actually, because I know we want our touring one to be on bike paths most of the time, but on a weekend, the bike paths are actually very dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they have a lot of people on them who are not very skilled. So we're going to have to be really thoughtful about where we put that group and the kind of guidance we give them, and making sure that they're following all the rules when they're amongst a lot of other cyclists and walkers and dog walkers and stroller pushers. I'm almost tempted to not put them on the bike path, but I've been trying to think of where else we can have them ride where they won't be scared.
Well, on Saturday, there's the Sir John A. Macdonald Parkway.
Yeah, I thought about that, but that could get kind of boring after a while.
It could be. And, you know, this is kind of, Sandy, while I'm kind of waiting and crossing my fingers and hoping for an announcement about the border with Quebec, because I have a feeling that, you know, we are experiencing a lot of congestion on the Ontario side on the bike paths, precisely because, you know, there's no access to the bike paths on the Quebec side, you know, and obviously Ottawa has a much larger population. So, you know, that might ease a little bit of it as well if we had the opportunity to, when they open up, if we had the opportunity to ride over on the Quebec side. Anyway, it is definitely something we really need to think of. And I know we've always in the past had, you know, really great people step up for our beginning group riders to lead them for the first few weeks. And I'm hoping that that continues this year. And it'll be a discussion, I think, among those leaders that are leading the touring one group as to what might be the best, you know, sharing of strategies and things to try and places to start. You know, we've typically started at Tunney's Pasture, and in a way that's good because there's lots of room to do, like I said, those little, you know, practice runs to see. But, you know, maybe we need to think differently and start maybe at Ridgecraft instead, you know, and do some of the quiet streets in Canada, like routes around the quiet streets in Canada, or I don't know, like it's like there are certain sections of the bike path that are really, you really want to avoid them on the weekend, like along the Rideau River. Ridiculous. So anyway, anybody else have any comments about that?
Well, I think, you know, you were talking about the Ottawa River Parkway that's open, and there's enough space for everyone on that. But there are some ways that you can get around that. For example, rather than go to Britannia, if you went from Tunney's Pasture and went to the end of the path and then back, you can get on and go over at the train station, then go up to go up to the experimental farm and get away a little bit from the busiest places. So there are some ways that you can go that gets you out of the busiest spots, because the busiest spots are sort of Britannia. You don't want to be down at around Dow's Lake if you can help it, like along the canal. But there are some ways that you can still be in the city and still be in safe places and get away a little bit from the busiest spots.
Yeah, and the Queen Elizabeth, we have to remember that the Queen Elizabeth driveway is closed, right, Sue? Where's Sue? Yeah.
The airport Parkway is really nice too, like the Georges Etienne, like from the Aviation Museum East.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Queen Elizabeth Parkway is closed from Fifth Avenue to Somerset.
Yeah.
So,
And as of July 1st, isn't Colonel By going to be closed on the other side?
that's correct too, Jane. Yeah. Yeah.
So all along the canal is going to be closed to traffic as of July 1st, I think until September.
Yeah.
So, I think we're just going to have to be creative. And I think we noticed this, and I think we were talking about this with Bev, and we noticed that in our sportive type rider, for whatever reason, maybe because there weren't so many demands on their time last year, our members seem to be more willing to do more remote starts. So in other words, not starting necessarily, in town, but out, in Carp or in Almond or North Gore or other places. People seem to be a little more willing to do that. So that's something to keep in mind for our sportive levels, just to kind of, spread out the riders. So.
I was also going to say, Jean, about the sportive. My experience last year was that it was really easy to find a co-lead, as you said. Like most people seemed comfortable if someone else is already planning the route, to take a second group behind is a lot smaller of an ask. So I think it was palatable to people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so anyway, that's for something to think about. So I will be soliciting volunteers, and I just want to show you so this is the Group Ride Leader Toolkit. These are all the documents that are in there. And I sent out the updated start locations. That is by no means a comprehensive list. In fact, I think Bev would probably have a couple that she could add on there that I didn't know and include. So Bev, if you want to send them to me, more, I think I put Equator in Almont, but I think that's probably the only one sort of out that way. That's not comprehensive. It's just, these are just suggested places, and really, as I said before, start locations are up to the group ride leaders, and we're just looking for free parking. So, if you know of other places where you might, like, I think a couple of groups last year met at Corrine Wilson High School in Orleans. There was parking there. So somewhere like that where people can park. So Dana, this other one where I've got is the Managing Group Rides COVID Addendum. Okay. What does a group ride leader do? I'd suggest that you volunteer before you read that, because if you read that, you might be overwhelmed. We are all insured, but what I do ask as the group ride coordinator is if you do have an incident, if someone falls off their bike and scrapes themselves, even if they appear to be all right, I always like you to get in touch with me, but or you can just fill in this incident log. Like when I looked at last year's incidents, there were just a couple where people fell off their bikes and the group ride leader had followed up with someone and phoned them at home to make sure that, they were okay. That's really for insurance purposes, for our insurance, managing group rides and so on. So this is the one that I was going to open. This is what will be, I'll be asking for volunteers for, to lead group rides, but this document will appear, it'll be kept in the files section, but I won't be wanting you to fill it in on the files section. It's just a master list. And we actually last year, for lots of reasons, but primarily for contact tracing, we actually listed everybody that went on the ride. Now, for some reason, it's not gonna, oh, there it is. Okay, it's gonna go down. So this is what it looks like. This is what the schedule looks like. Now that's still populated with last year's because I haven't finished quite yet. But oh, hang on. Let me see if I can get it to go down a little. So I can't show you the whole document, but so it will. This will be kept in files so that you can check. Like if you get in touch with me and you say, okay, I can lead the following rides on June 25th, July 17th, and August 18th. You may not remember, but I put it in right away. So you'll see that I put in who the ride leaders are going to be. I put in the start, when you post your ride, I actually put in the start time and location And after the ride's done, or whatever, I put in the route and the destination. The reason that I do that is because we have members that live all over the city and on the Quebec side, and we really try to vary the start locations. We don't want to always have West End start locations. We don't always want to have central start locations. So, if you're leading a group ride in the second or third or fourth week of the season, you may want to look at this and say, oh, okay, I was going to start at Britannia, but last weekend 3 rides started at Britannia. So maybe, I'll start my ride somewhere else. So it's partially that. And then we keep track of the routes and the destinations, and we keep track of the numbers that come for the different rides. So when you send me your name, I populate it into here. So you can, I'll be soliciting, don't worry, I'll be after you to lead group rides. And what I do is, like on a Sunday night, I will make a posting in Facebook, and it says, here are the group ride leaders for the upcoming week and the rides they're leading. And if we have gaps or we have spaces, then I'll be begging, can anyone volunteer to lead the Saturday Sportive 3 ride? And you can, get in touch with me to do that. I think, this is my 3rd year being the group ride coordinator. And I think in the last 2 years, we've had to cancel maybe 3 or 4 rides just because we couldn't find a leader. And that's not many considering, but that's what we have to do. If we can't get a group ride leader, we can't offer the ride. And we do have a very, very dedicated core group of group ride leaders. But what I'd really like to do this year is really expand it, so that, many hands make light work, because I don't want to burn out this core group of group ride leaders. So if you have a friend that's joined the club and you talk about leading or co-leading a group, please encourage them, because it's a great way to get involved. Not to mention that you get 4 hours of volunteer credit every time you lead a group ride. So you can get your $50 rebate really quite fast. So anyway, that's what the master schedule looks like. And I'm going to send out, because there's so many that are not here, I'll be sending out an email with all of that information. And yeah, so that's what's in the group ride leader toolkit. And as I update the documents, I'll put them in there. But experienced or new group ride leader or co-leader, if you have any questions about leading a ride or what you should do or whatever, you can always just email me or message me. So I will have all of this information for you. And as Dana suggested, so last year we instituted, because we felt we had to limit the numbers on our rides, we instituted a policy where all the rides had to be posted by Wednesday night for the following weekend. And the reason we did that was because we felt, first of all, we thought we might be in a position where there might be members that couldn't get onto a Saturday ride, for example, because they would be full. That didn't transpire because we had so many people stepping up to co-lead. But it is nice for the members to know on Wednesday night or by Thursday morning, oh, okay, this is where the Friday ride is going. This is where the Saturday rides are going. And this is where the Sunday rides are going. So, I wasn't super, if it was Thursday noon when you posted, when you posted your ride, that would be okay. But people last year, might be the same this year, because everybody was so anxious to get out riding. Like people, were posting, I didn't see the ride posted, where is it? So there was a little bit of pressure to get the rides posted. So we're just thinking about that. And so this document that I'm just finishing up actually takes you step by step about how to create a posting on the Facebook page and what information you need to put in it. So, and Dana's right. You can just copy and paste from the sample I'm going to create, or copy and paste from someone else, another leader's that you liked, that you thought, oh, this is a really Like, this is a really good way to word the posting and so on. So the other thing that's in the group ride leader toolkit is a whole folder, because we always like to have a little attractive image to go with our posting. So there's a whole folder of different images. I'll just show you for an example, right? We've got a whole folder of images like that you can add to your group ride posting, and as a photo. So that's in the group ride leader toolkit to save you all the time of looking. Okay. Unless I've forgotten something. So, the other thing is, and I was really, really hoping that we would be able to have this meeting in person. You know, in the olden times, 2 years ago, you know, we would meet for breakfast, the group ride leaders, every once in a while. And I'm hoping that, and last year we did the initial meeting on Zoom, but then over the summer, about every 5 weeks or so, we had a group ride leader meeting, and we were able to meet outside in parks. I'm hoping that this year we'll be able to meet each other face to face, because it is nice to get to know your fellow group ride leaders and compare notes and, you know, just talk about some of the things we've learned, some of the things we've noticed, and so on. So as from today, probably 4 or 5 weeks from now, we'll have a group ride leader meeting. And if, cross our fingers, we can have groups of 25, we'll probably meet outdoors somewhere at Vincent Massey Park. We'll have ice cream or something like that. So there'll be regular contact with all of you, and, you know, discussions about what we need to do. I think we did a great job last year of being really flexible. You know, as the criteria changed, as the rules changed, as we noticed different things, you know, more people coming out for certain levels of ride than others, I think we did a really good job of adapting, because the whole idea is to create a really enjoyable experience for the members that come out to ride, but also for the group ride leader. You know, when I lead a ride, I hope it's going to be an enjoyable experience for me too, and a chance to meet all the members. So unless there's something I've forgotten or anybody else has a question.
I do.
Yeah.
It's Christine. I'm struggling with the online piece. I shouldn't. I'm fairly tech savvy. I cannot find the files on the Facebook page at all. And I'm still trying to navigate how Strava works. My first Learn to Group ride was canceled, so I'm trying to get that rebooked. I think I'm supposed to be going to a maintenance clinic, but I wanted to come in person and at least see what was going on first. So I'm just trying to sort out which end is up.
Oh, okay. So would you rather that I just sent you the files from the group ride leader toolkit as an attachment?
It doesn't matter. I just want to know, like, if it's on the Facebook page, I just want to find it on the Facebook page and just go from there. I just cannot find it there.
I can't find it either, Jean.
Yeah, I tried the website and I couldn't find it on the website either.
Sure, you're on the right Cycle Fit Chicks.
You know what? I don't think I am. It doesn't look like that. This
Yeah,
is Cycle
so this
Fit,
is-
Chick Fit's
This
Women's
is our
Cycling Club.
private
Nope, you're in
page.
the wrong one then.
Okay.
So what you're on is the business page.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
It should say, do you see Christine on mine? It says Cycle Fit Chicks Road Cycling Private Group.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, that's the one you want. And then
Yeah,
if
you can
go-
search that, Christine, and then and ask to be invited, and Jean will.
I am in it. I just didn't.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in that club too, but I didn't realize there were two.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So now I've got a whole lot more tabs and files and everything. I'm good.
Yeah.
Oy, oy.
So just while
Okay.
we're here,
Yeah.
just so that you so there's discussion and all of that, that's what opens up. But if you go to more, that's where the files are.
Yeah, no, I see them. It's all good.
And I don't necessarily upload all the group ride leader files to files. Okay. What I'll upload there are the things that would be applicable to members, like which group, how do I know which group to ride with, the rainy day policy, and so on. That's why we created this Google Drive for the group ride leaders, because there's a ton of information there, but most of our members that are not leading rides are not interested. But if we got a minute, so in this more section, there's events, okay?
Yep.
And then you can see, it says like there's the Let's Bike Ottawa event, which is our June ride event, but you see it says create event here, right here where and you can just create event. It's actually way more user-friendly than the previous iteration of Facebook. And then it's like when you're creating a ride, it's an in-person event, okay? And then everything over here then it's on the left. So the event name, so you would put, Sportive for, I don't know, ride to Manotick, let's say, okay? And then you'd put the date and then the end. And then it prompts you and you put the location. Now, the interesting thing about the location, and this is why I created the start locations document, because, for example, there are multiple parking lots along the Sir George Etienne Cartier Parkway, multiple. And it's not always easy to find out what the parking lot number is. And so, you might have to look in Google Maps, and Google Maps is really good because if you zoom in, it actually tells you, P3 NCC parking lot or something like that. So when you type in the location, like Hogsback Park, let's say, in this, okay, it'll give you it'll give you the pavilion, okay, and then what it does is it actually creates a map for you, okay, and then this is the description. So this is where you would type in the stuff about COVID, but you would also, and the sample is going to show you all this, but you type in information like I'm all for the more information is better. Everybody knows that. My descriptions are really long, but you don't have to be super long. But you would want people to remind people what the average speed and approximate distance would be on this ride. You might want to let people know if it's going to be, especially if it's going to be hilly. Like you might want to let people know that, And I always, especially for the touring 1 and 2 groups, say whether it's mainly on bike paths, mainly in bike lanes, whether it's on quiet roads and so on. For the Sportive 3, 4, 5 groups, that's not so crucial because they're very comfortable on the road and all of that. So then you have the chance to provide your description. And then this is where you would upload your photo, and you can just upload your photo and go to the bike images file. And here, this is the part that I think is really important right here. Okay, you see this, it says invite all members of Cycle Fit Chicks Road Cycling Club. You've got to tick that box. If you don't tick that box and you hit create event, you create an event, and that's great. And it shows up in the posting, but people will have to go actively searching for it. They don't get invited. Now, I don't know, I don't have Facebook connected to my emails, so I don't get those invitations. Maybe some of you that do, are they annoying?
No.
Like, so I'm just wondering because, so for example, we're going to have on a Saturday, well, on a weekend, we'll have 7 rides created. And so if everybody ticks that invite all members, and like, let's say Moira, potentially on Wednesday night, you could get 7 rides into your email box. Does that bother you? Well, I'm asking because I don't have it connected, so I don't know.
Bothers me, yeah. I would
What's
say
that?
I would say yes, it would bother me, but that's me.
But don't you have the choice of turning on or off those emails?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you do.
Each individual can turn them off if they're bugging them.
Yeah. So I guess my question is, well, I guess my thinking is, my first thinking this afternoon when I was looking at this was, oh yeah, well, we have to invite all members. And that's because, so that nobody misses out. But if you don't, it's not the end of the world because it will still show up in the discussion. And if people are looking for it, if they go on the Facebook page on Wednesday night or sometime Thursday, they're going to find your ride, right? So, yeah, and so then you just create your event, and then it shows up in events, and people can find it. So, the other thing is, so you got your event created and it's, you know, Thursday morning and people are starting to sign up for the ride. So the direction to them and to all of you, if you're going to go on somebody else's ride, normally in the past, we just had them click going. You see going right here. We've just had people click going. But last year, because of COVID and because we had to make absolutely certain that anybody that went on a ride had signed the waiver, we asked them to comment below and just say, yes, I'm going. And then, and because we had to count the numbers. So we're going to do the same again this year. So let me create this event. I hope nobody signs up for it, but someone's going to email me and say, I saw you had a ride to Manotick and it's gone. It's gone.
Put test in the name. Put test in the name.
Oh, God. Anyway, this is different this year where there's no comment. It has to be under start discussion. So I would write, you know, I'm in, okay, and post it. Okay, if it was, let's say it was Bev's ride or, you know, I would write I'm in and then we would confirm. So last year I was going in and I was putting confirm 1, confirm 2, confirm 3, so that we could keep track of how many were signed up for the ride. And we'll continue to do the same thing. And then, you know, a 24 hours or the night before the ride, I would put a posting in there that would say, the following members are confirmed on this ride. And then I would list their names, usually their first name. And that was really good because then people that at the last minute had to cancel, when they saw, oh, their name was confirmed on the ride, you know, they would post below, oh, I'm really sorry, something came up, I can't make it. So then we would know that we had a space on the ride. So I think now, all of this being said, last year I was sitting at home with a broken wrist, wishing that I could be out riding. So I was doing all of this. I'm going to start off trying to do it all like, because I like to know and keep track, and I type in all the names into the chart. But at some point, if it becomes overwhelming, I'm going to ask the group ride leaders to do that. I'm going to ask you to confirm your own rides, because the fact is that we're already at 99.9% of people having signed their waivers. So we won't have to worry about that. So we'll start off with me confirming all the rides and then we'll revisit that. So
good.
Yeah. So are there any questions, any comments, anything that I've missed or something that you're concerned about maybe?
Well, I would like to, can I say something?
Yes.
I would like to say that for someone who is directionally challenged, like I am, and try to be a group leader, a couple of things that people told me before, and if anybody's a new group leader, is that they would start off doing a route that they already know.
Yeah.
Like that would be the first thing to begin with. And then secondly, depending on how long your ride is, that I've spoken to some other people too, if it's a ride that you haven't done before, that it's a good idea to either ride it or drive it ahead of time if you're directionally challenged. If you're not, then obviously, you know, I can just follow you.
Yeah, and
but it's just
yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not possible to ride it ahead of time, but Linda, that is good advice, because especially there's a ton of construction around.
Oh, for sure.
And you know, I posted a proposed ride out to Metcalf, which is the usual route that we've done in the past. And then Tina, you know, that was a proposed ride, that wasn't a group ride, but Tina put a post underneath and said, Jean, there's construction on Bank Street, so you know, it's not a good idea. So and that's the other thing among group ride leaders is, you know, if you, like, even on the Facebook page, just generally, not just for group ride leaders, just generally, you know, if you're doing a favorite route of yours and there's construction or a detour or something else, you know, post it, because that's helpful not just to all our members who are out there riding on their own during the week, but also to group ride leaders who are trying to plan a ride. So yeah, and you know, we have, the other thing is, you know, we there are lots and lots of different routes, and I know some of you have fantastic and fabulous routes, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I mean, I'm not saying riding to carp, everybody wants to ride to carp every week, but people don't mind repeating the same ride a few weeks down the road. I mean, they'd rather have the same ride than not have someone volunteer a group ride leader, because I really only am comfortable riding to carp, and we've been to carp already twice this season. People would rather redo a ride. It's about the company and the camaraderie. So the other thing that I did not mention, and it's posted in files, but I'll put it in the group ride leader toolkit, is the coffee shops. Really important.
Very important.
Yeah. And I actually just recently went through, and it'll probably change again now because because things are reopening. But as of this week, those opening hours and the days that they're opening, because we're finding that lots of our favorite coffee shops aren't open as often because they're not as busy. So I'll put the coffee shop locations in the group ride leader toolkit as well. And again, we always stop for coffee, but I think our more advanced riders can speak to this. In the touring groups, we tend to stop for plan the route so that the coffee stop is halfway. But sometimes in our sportive groups, they'd rather have the coffee stop at the end. So it's totally flexible and dependent on the group ride leader, as long as you just say ahead of time, right? So that people know and they're prepared. So anything else? That was a good comment, Linda. Anybody else have any comments?
Jean, I'm just wondering if we have any kind of a resource regarding the O train. So last week, for example, we did a route on the Aviation Parkway path on, I believe it was Monday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. And then we went to do the path again Friday, and it was closed. And there was a detour that literally went nowhere. It took us up to Bank Street, and we couldn't, carry on with the route we had planned. So I have a feeling that the O train is going to be an issue this year. And I wonder if, is there a resource somewhere where we could see what's closed for the season?
Yeah, you know what? There is a City of Ottawa website somewhere. Jeannie used to refer to it often. Let me see if I can find it. It gives you, updated construction. Because who was it that found out that Thomas Dolan was being repaved? Somebody wrote out there.
Yeah, I've been out there this year, but didn't encounter that.
Yeah, so let me just, thanks, Paula, that's a good point. So are you saying that something was where were you riding that was closed because of the O train?
It's the O train construction. We were taking the path that is parallel to the Aviation Parkway.
Oh.
And we came to a point where it said detour, and there was a fence there, so we couldn't carry on in the path. So naturally we took the detour. We followed the detour, and it was a fresh detour, like there was those lovely green paved, bicycle symboled pathways, and we followed it, and it literally dead ended at Bank. And I can't remember if we were at Bank and Heron, where the Canadian Tire is. Is that Bank and Heron?
Oh, really?
And then we weren't going to ride south on Bank Street there. It's a disaster. And there was nowhere to go straight. And we were headed out around the other side of the parkway. So we did it at the beginning of the week, no issue. Friday, we went out, and it was all closed, and there was a detour sign, but the detour didn't go get us back on the pathway, is what I'm saying. We just wandered and turned around and, took the road. But anyway, I have a feeling that I seem to see O train construction in a few places this year that is new. And I just don't know what, even on Preston here, because of the construction, they have diverted us to Preston Street, which is fine. It's all paved, etc. And that's what it looked like this other one was. It just never reconnected with the Parkway path.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can find, and if I can find a link for checking,
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, ideally we'll do the ride first anyway, but as I said, you know, had we did it twice that last week, and we would have assumed it was open until we got there.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Thanks, Paula. Any other questions or comments or concerns?
Jean, I've got one question.
Yep.
You know how you've been posting recommended Strava routes in the absence of the club riding? Could you provide directions on how to do that? Because last year I found it really helpful being able to see the Strava route when people posted where they were going to ride, and I have no idea how to do that.
Yeah, no, I have a feeling that it changed because last year I was doing that and I had a free membership to Strava. And this year I went to do it and I couldn't do it. So I think you have to have the premium membership to create.
You can also do like I have Ride with GPS, which I'm pretty sure I got for free. Maybe not, but I think so.
Yeah.
And you can pull the file from Strava into the route planner on Ride with GPS. And then if you save it from the route planner, it'll give you a cue sheet for it. Or like I'm really directionally challenged. So I have the bone conducting headphones and I just wear them when I'm riding because it'll tell me the cues as I'm going. So you can definitely pull the files from the free Strava into
the Ride with GPS. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I do is I use Strava with Ride with GPS. But you do have to pull it into the route planner in order to get the cues. If you just pull it over but not into the route planner, it won't give you the cues.
Okay. So Jill, were you talking about creating your own routes in Strava or copying someone else's routes?
Well, I was just thinking like so as a group ride leader, if I was to post the route, I find it really useful to actually be able to see the route on Strava or on a map. And so I was just wondering how, like, I didn't realize that you did that through the premium, but actually seeing whether you use GPS or Strava or something else, like seeing the map really helps people decide, I think, whether or not they want to do that ride.
Jill, you can use Map My Ride is really easy for mapping out your own routes, like in areas that you're familiar with. You can go back and recreate it. I've noticed that Strava has taken away a lot of the features this year. You have to pay to see all sorts of things that were free last year.
Yeah, but I think I think though, like for example, if I create the route and Jill, you're following me, I think whether you've got the free Strava or not, you can copy my route. It's just necessarily create your own route. So, and with the proposed ones that I've been doing, I've actually created a Google Maps route. That was because there was someone that wanted the audio cues. Google Maps isn't quite as easy as Strava, but it's actually, you can create a bicycle route and it works quite well. And that gives you the verbal cues as well.
Okay.
So.
Okay, I'll play around with it.
So just with regards to routes, I wanted to say that, Jean, when you put these routes on Strava and you put actually a description beside it and with it, I find that incredibly helpful. So everybody has a different way of looking of figuring it out, but the actual description is very helpful too.
Yeah, well, and actually, when you look at that, when you look at those routes, I put the description, but also when you look at the route, there's a button there that says print. You don't have to print, but it actually is a cue sheet. And so it gives you all the turns and everything on that. So, but yeah, I've started putting in the description just in case, because sometimes, I don't know, Linda, like if you read the the description ahead of time, does that kind of give you an idea and then you don't have to refer to it again? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I sometimes have to refer to it again, but it gives me a better idea. Like if I look at a map in Strava, I get a good idea, but I don't always know where to turn in my head without stopping, making it complicated, but the written stuff makes it pretty easy. That's, everybody's got a different way, as I said.
Yeah, yeah.
Or I could just write with Jean, who is not directionally challenged.
Let's hope I don't have some kind of an untimely accident between now and the start of the ride season. Okay, anything else? Okay, well, you know, I'll be waiting for your when I send out the email and the link and all that, I'll be waiting for all your volunteering to flood my mailbox. So especially for this upcoming, so that would be Friday, June 18th, open ride. Saturday, June 19th, there'd be 5 rides. And Sunday, June 20th. So those are the first ones. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jean, I just wanted to thank you so much again this year for taking on this role and continuing on with all the amazing information that you've given and working with the group ride leaders. It's really, truly invaluable, and really, really appreciate the role that you play.
Oh, thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Yeah.
So there's just one other thing I forgot that reminded me of Sylvie, because Sylvie has offered, and we'll schedule it when we can, you know, when border restrictions and numbers, but Sylvie has offered to do a bike maintenance clinic, a free bike maintenance clinic for the group ride leaders. So these things are really hard to schedule right at the moment. So I'm expecting that it would be sometime in July, and might be in conjunction with a group ride leader meeting. So we'll
a Friday afternoon, the ones that I've been doing at 4 till 6 work really well.
Yeah.
And then we could just go to the bar after. No, I'm just saying. I don't know. And if it's open in Ontario, it's the patios are open in Quebec.
Yeah, they're open in Ontario now, but they it has to be, limit is 4 people to a table. So that's something we're going to have to think about as group ride leaders next weekend, right? How are we, if we are going to stop for coffee, how are we going to do that? So one of the best places to do that is Take Another Bite in Manotick, because across the street, they have this lovely little park with benches that are all spread out. And so you could sit 2 or 3 to a bench and spread right out. So, and I think I put it in the coffee locations. The Cafe British is under construction. The patio, I can't see how the patio is going to be open at all this year. So.
Again?
Yeah, because they're building condos behind it. So the whole parking lot behind is going to be this big condo building, and then the space in between the restaurant and the cafe, they don't have any tables because I guess people don't want to sit there and have the jackhammers, you know. So I don't know.
Well, you can always, if it's Saturday, you can go down to the plateau in that nice little market that I posted.
Yeah, and I actually think we should check out the new marina building.
Oh, that's a good idea.
There, because there's a brand new marina building, big fancy building, and I'm sure it's going to have a cafe or something in there.
And Wakefield has a new Blue Barn. It's a new cafe, and the market has moved over to Vorlage. So if you're looking, so if you're looking, because they're doing all the vaccines at the community center. So it's just like it's just full of cars all the time. But it's actually nicer over at Vorlage because there's more parking, and you can kind of sit outside of the circle. It's spaced out a lot bigger, and so if you're looking for that, usually that was a stop for us, but near the community center, that's where the Blue Barn is. So that's right in front of the post office. So you can stop there if you're coming in. If you want to go all the way through town, Vorlage is at the other end. And then there's the bakery, and Pipolinka's is open sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so if there's nothing else, I will definitely be in touch with all of you. Thanks so much for the time, and we'll look forward to a great season of group riding. Another great season of group riding. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank
you.
Thanks,
Hi, thanks.
Stella.